Good morning, world. We're back in that time of year when everyone is setting goals and resolutions and things like that for the coming year. And I wanted to go over 5 relationship success tips because couples are always looking or evaluating or should be evaluating their relationships as the new year comes around to determine what it is that they want to change, improve, how to make their relationship better. And that's why today we're talking about 5 relationship success tips. There are many things that it takes to make a relationship work, but these are 5 tips that, as important as they are, I find are sometimes missed or overlooked in relationships, and that's why we're talking about them today. One is that you need to make your spouse and your union a top priority. This means that putting your relationship, putting your spouse above everything else, and for yes, some people don't like the idea, but that includes the children, because if your spouse is to be that partner who is helping you make everything else a success, including providing the best environment for your child, that spouse needs to come first. That's your spouse and your union should come above all else, because your spouse and your union are your spouse and your union, yeah, the two of them, okay, are the pieces that help you get whatever else is going in your life, helps you make them happen. So number one priority. 2, love is not a psychic ability. Just because your spouse loves you, and even though they love you more than anything in the world, they do their best to know and do and provide and share this life for you, that does not mean that they're going to know everything about you. No matter how long you've been together, there are still times that you will need to express yourself. You need to make sure that you're communicating your wants, you're communicating your needs and desires to your spouse. Love does not mean you no longer have to tell them, does not mean you no longer have to share with them. Love does not make them automatically know. 3, trust needs to go beyond the words. Often we talk about trust and that, oh yeah, I know that when my husband says this, I know when my wife says that, this is what is. But trust needs to go deeper. It needs to be at the level where you're willing and able to let down your guards and be your true self. You need to be able to trust your partner with who you really are and allow them to know you down to your core. Yes, you'll still have to communicate and tell them things, but trust your partner enough to be able to let them see the real you, so that you're on most of your life. Most of the day you're at work, you're out with other people, you're on where you are expected to play a specific role. But when you're home, when you're with the love of your life, with your partner, you need to be able to let all those roles that the world expects of you, you need to be able to let them down and just be your true self and be who you want to be. And your partner is the one you do that with. Your spouse is not a child, nor is your spouse a parent. A lot of times we get into relationships and people start automatically taking on roles that they are most comfortable with. And of course, the person who gets the child role sometimes can play it and happily when it's convenient, but neither is going to really be happy with that role in the end. The person who is in the parent role is going to feel overwhelmed having to be the adult for 2 adults, and the person who is treated as the child over time is going to be annoyed with that, because yes, it's good when you're doing all the stuff that I don't want to do for me, but when you start going overboard, when you start telling me or really treating me as a child, it can become a source of tension in a relationship. So it's important to remember that your spouse is another adult, your spouse is a partner, your spouse is not a child, and your spouse is definitely not a parent. So stop treating them like that. And finally, be the match for the spouse you want. We often have all these ideas of the things that we want in a spouse, but people often forget to be the partner that spouse is going to need. As a spouse, they will do and will strive to do certain things that you want and expect from them. But in order to do that, there are things that they will need from you to allow them to complement the work that they're doing to help them succeed in being that spouse that they want or that you want. So in order to get the spouse that you want, in order to have your spouse be the one you want, you need to be making sure that you are the spouse that a person like the one you want is going to need. Does that make sense? Yeah, a little bit? Okay. All right, so recap. 1, you need to make your relationship and your spouse your number 1 priority. 2, love is not a psychic ability. No matter how much your spouse or your significant other love you, they still need you to communicate and tell them the things that are going on with you, your wants, your needs, your expectations, your desires. 3, trust needs to go beyond the words. You need to be able to trust your spouse to be able to allow yourself to be who you are and allow them to know you down to your core. 4, your spouse is not your child and your spouse is not your parent. So do not treat them as such. Your spouse is another adult. It's a partner that you need to treat like a partner. And finally, be the match for the spouse you want. This means that, hey, whatever it is that you're expecting of him or her, you better be the one who's doing the stuff that him or her are going to need in order to be who you are expecting. That is all we have for today. Good morning, world. Have a great day.